Hello there. In this video I'm going to talk about the cost of living in Cedar Hills, Utah. Cedar Hills is a city. It's about 26 minutes north of Provo, Utah. It's going to be a good video, so stick around if you want to learn about the cost of living in Cedar Hills, Utah, because I'm getting after it right now. Hey there, first time to this channel and you want to know everything about eating, sleeping, working, the good, the bad of living in Provo, Utah. Specifically today, I'm talking about Cedar Hills, Utah and the cost of living in Cedar Hills, Utah. Then go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, make sure you click on that notification bell so that you can stay current every time I drop another video about what it's like living in the Provo, Utah area. My name is Scott Walters and I have people that reach out to me daily and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking of making a move to the Provo, Utah area in 9 days or 90 days, make sure you reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. We can set up a Zoom meeting. I'd love to absolutely help you get the information that you need so that you can make a smooth move to the Provo, Utah area. And again, today specifically, we're talking about the cost of living in Cedar Hills, Utah. All right, so we got to talk about the housing costs for cost of living for Cedar Hills. One of the good things about Cedar Hills is that it's a little more of an affordable town, at least comparing it to the surrounding cities around it. It's right next to Highland and also Alpine. Those two are very expensive cities with usually very large homes. Cedar Hills seems to have homes that are a little bit more in an affordable price range. In fact, and keep again in mind, Cedar Hills is also kind of a bedroom community. Roughly right now it has about 10,000 people that live there, and it's about 26 minutes north of Provo, so it's really close to Provo. But when it comes to housing costs, they only had one home that was in the upper 900,000 range. It was 974. That gives you a yearly tax of around $3,000, and then your payment on that would be about $5,700. That was about a 4,500 square foot home. That was the most expensive home currently. There were no homes over $1 million for sale in Cedar Hills. So, and again, like I say, that's kind of makes it more of an affordable city compared to Alpine or Highland. There were 3 homes in that 700,000 range, and again, the tax bill on that for a year is $2,700. Again, something I've mentioned before about Utah. One of the great things is property taxes are really relatively low compared to other cities throughout the country. Now, the payment for those homes in that 700,000 range is going to be about $4,400 a month, totally dependent upon what you put as a down payment and whatever your interest rate is. But that just gives you kind of a rough idea if you're paying that, that 700,000 price for it. Those homes are in the 4,000 square foot range that I saw. The biggest range of homes in Cedar Hills are in that 600 to 700,000 price range. A lot of them right around that 650 mark. Yearly tax bill is about $2,200 to $2,300 per year, with a monthly payment estimate roughly in that $4,000 per month range. And those homes are 3,200 square feet to 3,800 square feet. Again, on the cost for these homes, some of the variance really just comes from how new is the home. Is it a little bit newer home? Is it older? Is it dated? If it's a newer home, you're going to pay more and it could even be a little bit smaller on square footage, but you'll pay more because it has more of the nicer, newer amenities that people are looking for in new homes. So the next price range for homes in Cedar Hills comes in right around that 500,000 price range. Again, most of those are right around the mid 500s. Looking at a tax bill of around $2,100 for the year, along with about a $3,300 per month house payment. And I saw square footages on those homes between 2,100 to 3,000 in that range. Again, that variance comes in with the age of the home, how new it is, etc. Finally, they did have there are a couple townhomes. They're kind of right up over against the hill, and they had 2 of those available. They're they're right around $465, both of them. $1,700 per year is your monthly tax bill payment. House payment on that's about $2,700 a month, and both of those are right around the 2,300 square footage, 2,300 in your square footage range. Again, they're actually a little bit bigger than those homes in the $500,000 price range. The difference in pricing comes is because they're a townhome. They don't have a yard. Those other properties have generally a pretty nice yard, about a 1/4 acre yard, whereas with a townhome, you're not really getting a yard. So anyway, that gives you a little bit of an idea of what it's going to cost you for a housing payment if you purchase a home in Cedar Hills. When it comes to renting a home, most of the homes you're going to rent are going to be in that $600,000 to $700,000 range. Those are going to be homes that have 5 to 6 bedrooms with 2 to 3 bathrooms, and you're going to pay probably around $3,200 per month for those. That's a pretty safe estimate. If you're able to find one of those townhomes for rent, you're probably going to pay about $2,200 to $2,500 per month on the rentals for those. And you will find a few homes that have what we call mother-in-law basements, where they have a separate entrance down into the basement that has a full kitchen, a couple bedrooms, and 1 or 2 bathrooms. Generally, those homes are going to be about $1,300 to $1,700 on the square footage, so a pretty good size rental. And oftentimes you'll find those rental prices anywhere from $1,500 to $1,700 for that basement rental. Oftentimes that will also include your utility costs. Generally the homeowner will cover the cost of the utilities with the price of your rent. Oftentimes that does not take into account internet or cable service. That's generally an extra fee that you need to pay for. And if you find a single room in the area, you're probably going to pay between $500 and $600 a month for a single room. I do not see a lot of those advertised on the Rentler website. Generally, I'm seeing single family homes and a few townhomes for rent. So there you have it. There's an idea for cost of living for housing, either for purchasing a home or for renting a home in the Cedar Hills area. Okay, one of the other costs that I think people like to know about is just kind of a general idea of what it's going to cost you for utilities. When I'm speaking of utilities, I'm talking about what is it going to cost you to heat your home, what's it going to cost you to cool your home with air conditioning, what's your water bill going to be, garbage, sewer, all that kind of stuff, your natural gas bill for your running your furnaces. So what's all that going to be? Typically, I would say really it's going to depend upon how cold you want it and how hot you want it. That'll definitely affect what you're going to pay for utilities. And also, of course, the size of the home that you live in is also going to drastically affect how much your cost of utilities are. Generally speaking, most of the rates around Utah Valley are pretty similar, pretty typical. Generally, there's going to be a base rate for your utility bill, as far as there's a base rate for your electricity, and then when you go over a certain rate, then they bump you up into a different tier and charge you a higher price for every wattage that you use at a different range. Same thing with the water. Like generally there's a water bill. You pay a base rate for a certain amount of culinary water you get to use. Once you go over that rate, then they throws you a little higher tier, and so the usage above that's charged at a different fee. Same with like your pressurized irrigation. Most of the cities have secondary water in Utah Valley, which is like pressurized irrigation, where they're using non-culinary water to water the lawns. And so oftentimes you pay a flat fee for a certain amount of usage. Right now, a lot of the cities just, you pay a flat fee and you can water as much as you want. I'm seeing that going away in pretty much most of the cities, because Utah has been in a pretty serious drought for the last number of years, and sometimes people don't conserve the way they should. And so a lot of the cities are actually putting meters now on their pressurized irrigation, so that you will begin to be metered for your water usage to kind of help encourage people to conserve water a little bit. A lot of the cities also have just a flat rate that you pay for your garbage can, your garbage collection, your sewer costs for having the sewer system, and so forth. So this is just kind of an estimate of what I would expect that you pay in pretty much every city in Utah Valley, again, depending upon the size of your house. Next up on the list is transportation. So here's another topic that's very subjective, because it really depends upon what your situation is. But if it comes to public transportation, Utah Valley and all of Utah does have access to the Utah Transit Authority system, which operates buses, sometimes carpooling vans, and they also have a TRAX. It's a train system that runs currently from Ogden to Provo. I've heard that they're going to have lines extensions down to Payson. I don't know when that's going to happen. And they are making more lateral lines, because right now it just goes north and south basically. And I've heard they will have some lateral lines that run east and west. There are some of those in like downtown Salt Lake. They do have the TRAX that runs around the city, but for the most part, TRAX runs north and south, and you can pick that up. At the main place really in Utah Valley is in Provo and in Lehigh. Orem might have a stop, I can't remember. So bus passes to ride the UTA is around $85. That's for a monthly pass that lets you ride a bus all month long. If you want to have the all-inclusive pass, that's like $170, $180 a month, which lets you also use the bus and then the TRAX and the other options that they have for transportation. So, and they have day rates. If you don't need a whole monthly pass, you can buy a pass for a day or for a week. So, you can always check out UTA's website and just see what their different prices are for using their public transportation system. So that's what it looks like when it comes to public transportation. Of course, most people in the area use private vehicles to have your own car. And what's it going to cost you to operate your vehicle? Well, that really depends upon what you drive. I mean, if you're using a Suburban, then you're going to be paying $100 plus to fill that tank up, and how much you drive that. Maybe you fill that thing up 2 or 3 times a month. So you could have a $300 or $400 a month fuel bill with a large Suburban, or maybe like a large pickup truck. You can cut your costs, of course, if you go with all electric, like you see the Teslas around. Of course, the acquisition cost for one of those is a little higher than a gas-powered vehicle, so you have to account for that. But then again, it's just the cost of plugging into your electricity and charging up your car. Another great option for your transportation is a hybrid. I bought a hybrid a couple of years ago. It's a Honda Insight, and I'm getting anywhere from 46 to 51 miles per gallon with that. So I've been quite pleased with the fuel efficiency of that. So again, a totally subjective topic, because it depends upon what kind of vehicle that you drive. But you do have, of course, the option to drive your personal vehicle, but we do have public transportation throughout Utah Valley. Hey guys, if you're finding this video helpful about the cost of living in Utah Valley cities, then go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you tap that notification bell so you can stay current every time I drop another video about what it's like living in Provo, Utah and Utah Valley. So childcare and preschool, those are the next items up on my list. What's it going to cost you to have your children watched for while you're off to work? Looking around online, looking at most of the daycare places, I'm seeing that you're going to pay anywhere from $150 to $170 a month, or a week. Excuse me, that's for a week per child. Generally, it's a little higher charge for kids that are 2 and under, about $170 a week for those kids, and then $150 a week for kids older than that. And of course, there's also different pay rates too, depending on whichever daycare that you talk to, and that maybe you only need your child watched for 2 or 3 days a week, and there's different pay for that. But if you want them watched 5 days a week, or a different cost for that. But if you want them watched 5 days a week, then expect to be paying anywhere from the $150 to $170 a month or a week range. You may be able to find some people that offer daycare right out of their home that charge a little cheaper prices, but generally that's kind of the average I'm seeing. Now the other cost, a lot of people, maybe they don't need their child in a full-time daycare all day, but maybe a preschool for a couple hours a week, kind of get them prepared for kindergarten. Well, generally you're going to be seeing somewhere between $90 and $110, and that is a monthly bill. That's the price that I was seeing. That generally gets you 3 days a week. If you want them 5 days a week at preschool, then expect about $150 a month for preschool. My wife and I used a local preschool provider. We paid $90 a month per child. That got them 3 days a week at the preschool, and they were well prepared for kindergarten. So anyway, that gives you an idea what it may cost you for childcare here in the Utah Valley area. So a huge cost of living item certainly are groceries. What's it going to cost you to feed your family? And of course, with the inflation going up, it's costing more and more all the time. So what I suggest that people do, and of course I kind of base this upon how it handles my family. I have a family of 8, and so about half of those are adults, so they eat a lot of food. I'm budgeting roughly $100 to $150 a month per person. That generally is enough to provide enough, the basics, the meat, milk, and eggs. And of course, you can keep your bills a lot cheaper if you're a little more frugal. I mean, steak and all kinds of meat has definitely gone up, so we don't have that all the time because it costs you quite a bit to buy beef, even chicken's going up. So anyway, but I think if you estimate on about that $100 to $150 a month, that's pretty good per person. That's a pretty good estimate on what it'll take to feed your family. And of course, if your tastes are a little more than that, it can cost you more. If you're wanting to buy more expensive cuts of meat or expensive seafood or things of that nature, then you're going to pay a bigger grocery bill. And now, one of the nice things about all over Utah Valley is you have some nice options for shopping. A lot of grocery stores run sales in all the different towns around Utah Valley. So you can definitely shop the sales. That's one way to keep your bill down. Just every week, different stores have different sales going on for the different staples. So just keep an eye out for that. Yeah, one of the things that my family likes to do to help keep that bill down is we grow a yearly garden. Every single year we grow a garden. I'll plant in there lettuce, beets, carrots, onions, peppers, lots of tomatoes, sometimes potatoes. I throw in a couple things in there that my wife likes that I don't. I always plant kohlrabi. She loves those. She loves radishes. I plant those. I also like to plant herbs because, you know, in almost all the grocery stores, they have those packages of about like that of fresh herbs that you can use for your cooking. And those things are usually around $5. Well, for $5, you can buy like a whole bunch of those plants and have them right out in your garden. So currently I've got just a ton of tomatoes coming off of my tomato plants. And so I don't even have to go to the garden or to the store to buy tomatoes. And there's nothing better than a fresh tomato. It doesn't even compare to what you buy at the grocery store. So that's just one way, one option to keep your bill down. Grow a garden. Utah is a great climate for growing gardens. You can start your garden as early as March. That's a little early. If you're going to start in March, you're going to be planting onions and peas. I generally wait till right around mid-May, so I know that I'm past all of the frost or freezing issues. Another thing that I do too is I've got a lot of fruit trees in my yard. Utah grows a lot of great fruit. I get great peaches, pears, apples, cherries, apricots, plums, pluots. You can grow all kinds of great produce that way. So anyway, that just will give you an idea of cost of living when it comes to buying groceries in the Utah Valley area. Again, I'm just going to reiterate, budget anywhere from $100 to $150 a month per person, and you should be okay. So one of the other large expenses that a lot of people have is internet and phone bill. Sometimes they tie those things together. I was looking online, and so the numbers that I got, I'm coming from the big three when it comes to cell phone service. I'm talking about the big three providers, and T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. They're probably the biggest. And again, keep in mind the comparison chart that I looked at is subject to change. These companies are changing and offering sales all the time. But I have used all three services in Utah County. Now the website I was looking at showed that T-Mobile's generally their first line is about $65, two lines $100, and then about $20 a month thereafter for additional lines. AT&T came in around $75 for one line, $140 for two, and then again about $20 for each line after. And then Verizon was the most expensive at $80 for that first line, and then about $140 for two lines and $20 thereafter. Now, when it comes to internet, well, some people just have cut the internet all together and they just use the internet on their phones. You can certainly do that. There's a lot of different internet providers around. I currently use Xfinity. It's actually wrapped in together with my landline and my cable bill. So I mean, I'm paying something like $180 a month, and that gets me all three services. So it'd cost me more for internet if I didn't. But I've seen some internet services that are $30 a month, not super fast speeds, and some that are 60, 80, 90, and even more. So again, this is one where you just got to shop around and see which one works best for you, what you need. So anyway, there's you an idea of what it may cost you for internet and cell phone bills in the Utah Valley area. Okay, so finally we got to talk one last cost of living, and that's entertainment. How much are you going to pay to have fun? Well, again, this is something that's totally subjective because it really depends upon what you like to do for fun. Now, all over Utah Valley, one of the great things about the Provo area is its access to a lot of outdoor recreation. So generally, it's just the cost to get you to that activity. So there's several canyons throughout Utah Valley that have fantastic I call it entertainment or recreation if you like the outdoor stuff. You've got American Fork Canyon to the north. That's a beautiful canyon. You've got the Timpanogos Cave that's up American Fork Canyon. American Fork Canyon is, basically the Alpine Loop Road, which is absolutely a stunning and beautiful drive, especially in the fall with all the fall colors. Provo Canyon, you would be passing Sundance, which is up Provo Canyon, which has fantastic world-class skiing along with beautiful outdoor summer activities. You can actually mountain bike there. You can pay for your lift pass, and they've got a way that you can hook your mountain bike onto the ski lift. They also have a summer theater season. They have an outdoor theater that's on the ski slopes, so that's a beautiful setting. I've been there a couple times with my wife watching Mamma Mia and Footloose. Those are the two plays that we watched recently. Also, some of the other canyons you have that you can go recreate at and have some entertainment is you have Hobble Creek Canyon. That's just right outside of Springville and Mapleton. They have a beautiful golf course up there, Hobble Creek Golf Course. Speaking of golfing, Utah Valley has fantastic golf courses. So if you move a little further south of Hobble Creek Canyon, then you got Spanish Fork Canyon. Spanish Fork Canyon, you can take that up and get up into Diamond Fork, which has some great fishing on the Diamond Fork River and then the Spanish Fork River. There's, again, a lot of camping and hiking in that area. It's not that far of a drive to go up Spanish Fork Canyon to get to Strawberry Reservoir. Schofield Reservoir is also up that canyon. That's not very far. Going back north to Provo Canyon, you can take Provo Canyon, and in 30 minutes you're at Deer Creek Reservoir. Jordanelle also is not very far from there. A ton of outdoor recreation like that. Now when you move further south, well, then you got Payson Canyon and access to the Nebo Loop Road. They also have Sanquin Canyon a little further south to that, and then Nephi Canyon. So tons of canyons to go up, lots of activities there. And then of course Utah Valley has Utah Lake. A lot of people enjoy boating on there, fishing on there, wakeboarding, kite surfing, all kinds of activities. And again, you've got all the different dining options all throughout Utah Valley. So if you want that for entertainment, there's just a ton of those. There's a lot of movie theaters. One of the big fall events is going to be Brigham Young University football games. You've got Hale Center Theater in Orem, where they offer very intimate theater seating where you're surrounding the stage. There's just no end to the opportunities that you can for outdoor entertainment. My name's Scott Walters. I really appreciate you watching this video. I hope you found it helpful talking about the cost of living. If you're liking these videos, if they're helpful to you, I really appreciate it. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you can stay current every time I drop another video about what it's like living in Provo, Utah and all the Utah Valley area. So with that, I'm going to catch you on the next video.